What up, 12s? NorbCam here. Man, it's been a while. Last couple of weeks, it's been just a kind of a busy time with just getting back into regular life for me post football season. It's also been a pretty rough month, just recovering from that Super Bowl game and finally kind of accepting what's happened and putting everything behind me and being able to kind of get some perspective and moving forward. So anyway, but thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for continue to support NorbCam. Looking back now, it's been a little over a month now since the Super Bowl. It's hard to believe it's been a month. I'm just curious how you're feeling about things. You know, are you over it? Are you still bitter about it? Have you guys watched the game since? Or do you refuse to watch it? I've met all kinds of people and the reactions are all over the map, and understandably so. As I've said before, some of you may have seen that interview I did with Paul Beyer from 12 for 12s. We got into it pretty good, breaking down the end of that game and just talking about the season and everything. And you know, that was like I said, you don't really ever recover fully from that game because you'll always be reminded and you'll always think about how that game and how close we were, and it does haunt you forever. You know, that is really how sports is. It's defined by games and moments and plays that live forever in infamy, and that game and that run will forever be debated. But that being said, you do have to move on, and I've moved on in a sense, and I guess I finally did after about 2 weeks of avoiding anything, you know, about that game and analysis of it. I finally did watch it. I particularly studied very closely the last sequence and that last play. It was hard at first, but then I was able to get the emotion out of it and really try to dissect, you know, what happened at the end there. So I'm going to take one last look at this and talk about it for one final time before I move on to 2015. But as far as that final play call, I still believe that they should have run the ball. In my gut, I felt like if they gave Lynch the ball at least 2 more times, he would have eventually scored, and they had 3 chances to do it. My analysis is that was the decision they made at the time based on the formation that New England came out in. They came out into a goal line defense, and we were kind of in a spread offense. And I can actually understand the logic behind wanting to throw the ball given those circumstances. If you really look at the play itself, the middle was open. And, you know, there were no linebackers in the middle. It was a wide open space. And so it basically came down to a one-on-one situation where Lockett just needed to beat his guy and Kearse needed to beat his guy. And it was all kind of dependent on each other. And obviously, Kearse didn't get free, wasn't able to rub on Butler to get some space for Lockett. And the guy made a great play. He jumped the ball, knew it was coming from doing his homework and running against that play in practice. So it really just came down to, more than anything else, just a fantastic play by Malcolm Butler. I mean, you had to give the guy credit. You know, undrafted rookie comes in there and sees the play he got burned on in practice, makes a great jump on it. And that's really, you know, the main thing that is the result that came from that. There have been a lot of people saying it was like a conspiracy theory type thing, saying that they wanted Wilson to get the touchdown, not Lynch, because otherwise Lynch could be the MVP and that could have been a whole big media disaster and all that kind of stuff. I don't buy it. I don't buy it because they gave the ball to Lynch at first down at the 5-yard line, and he almost scored. So if they really didn't want him to score or take the risk of him being the MVP, they wouldn't have given it to him at all, right? They would have just passed and avoided giving him a chance that he'd get the ball. So I just completely throw that out. I think it's just people reaching, trying to make sense of it, create something that's not there. And some people have said, you know, going back, saying that, well, you can't just look at that last play, you got to look at the entire game. And had the offense capitalized on their earlier opportunities, they wouldn't have been in that situation. Or if the defense had not allowed Tom Brady to score 14 points in the 4th quarter, we wouldn't be in that position. It's true. That's all true. But you also have to look at the philosophy of this team, and really in any game situation, which is you never look back at what it is, you just look at what's in front of you. And at that point in the game, there was less than a minute left and 1 yard to go to win the game. So while you can dissect all the lead-in plays like that, it just comes down to that one what's right in front of you is 1 yard. So I don't like to look back and try to overanalyze things that could have happened and changed that situation. That is the situation. Despite giving up 14 points, despite the mishaps that the offense didn't capitalize in the third quarter and early fourth quarter, they still had the opportunity to win at the 1 yard line, period. Going back to choosing to pass or run, I've heard a lot of the stats, you know, to back things up. Lynch was only like 1 for 5 at the 1 yard line. All season, when teams were at the 1 yard line, no passes had been intercepted. So statistically, you could say, oh, these are other reasons why that made sense to throw, but the stats don't mean anything if it fails you when you execute the play. It really just comes down to execution of the plays. You know, the play calls themselves, really, if you go to the last 2 plays, the run by Lynch, less people talk about that play as they do the final one with the interception. But if you look at the run, and I thought he was going to score. From my angle, I thought he was going to make it. If you watch that play, again, it's so much about game of inches, and it's a game of just seconds, milliseconds of doing your job on a play. And watching that run, when they handed to Lynch off tackle to the left, you had Okung sealing his guy on the inside and Wilson sealing his on the right. And if either of those guys holds their block for just a few milliseconds, he gets in. Mainly on Okung's guy, because he basically blocks his guy, and he starts to kind of go into his outside shoulder, which would make sense if Lynch is already around his corner. But what happened was Okung kind of went a little bit too far downfield, and that allowed his man to get inside him, thus making the tackle on Lynch and eventually bringing him down. Wilson's guy also helped out too from his side, and if he had kept him sealed off for just a little bit longer, neither of those guys gets in there, or they get him by an ankle and he scores. But again, it's the little things that you look at and the X's and O's, and if, you know, every play is designed to succeed if everybody does their job and does it long enough. And that's the thing, they had their blocks, they just didn't hold them long enough, and it had just been a little bit longer, he would have scored on that play. And then imagine the fun it would have been if Lynch had scored and we did have him as the MVP. Boy, I would have loved to see what would have happened. You know, Lynch probably would have run to the locker room, and he would be in there, and they'd be like, "Okay, MVP Marshawn Lynch," and everyone's like, "Where is he?" I wouldn't be surprised if that would have happened. But it would have been very entertaining, very funny. You know, but who cares? We would have won the Super Bowl, right? So, you know. And then the final play, like I said earlier, Malcolm Butler made a great play. No denying that, but if you really dissect that play down to the physics and just execution on the smallest level, 2 things come to mind that could have made that, well, 3 things could have made that play successful. First of all, as I mentioned, Curse, if he gets free from Browner and is able to just slightly impede Butler's path to Lockett, he probably scores. But Browner, which I've always loved that guy because he was the best at man-on-man, getting a jam on the receiver, he totally jammed Curse, and Curse just didn't move. I mean, he practically almost held him, but he had him wrapped up, he couldn't move. That was the first one. But here's the more subtle things. So, second one is Wilson. How did he do with the throw? Well, he throws the ball, and really it's not a bad pass. It's out here, but a safer location would have been here, where his body shields the defender from getting a hand on it. You know, throwing it basically almost like a backside, but it's more like inside shoulder. If it had been down here, it could have been here. Worst comes to worst is, you know, maybe he drops the ball or he gets tackled, no gain. But out here it's dangerous because he can come in here and basically do what he did, you know, get his hand on it. The final part was, I was first mad at Bevel because I thought he threw Lockett under the bus, because he kind of said, yeah, Lockett could have been a little more aggressive coming to the ball. Now, there's truth to that. Where he could have been more aggressive was his hands. What he did was he went like this. He basically kind of, again, essentially sort of waiting for the ball to come to him. And what would have been a better result is if he actually attacked the ball, meaning he comes at with his hands like this. First of all, it gives you about a foot difference of hand position. So the ball is reaching your hands a foot sooner and a split second sooner getting to it, versus when it's here, you're waiting for it to come to you and the ball's more exposed. Now what happened was his hands were in the right spot, but if you watch it frame by frame, his hand is going to get the ball before Butler's does. His hand is in between his and Butler's. Well, what happened is, because his arm position is back, the ball's going like this, and upon impact, his arm buckles and his hand moves out of the way, which then lands in Butler's chest or his arms. So the very fact that his arms were back became a factor in the impact. It went like this and moved out of the way. Again, if his hands are up here, his body gets hit in the shoulder, his arms don't move. Again, it's worst, he probably catches it, or it's maybe he drops it, but it goes down. That little thing of just him having his hands in front versus the back would have totally changed that play. But again, it's like it took a perfect storm of things not going our way for that play to go their way. So I had to break it down and really kind of see what really went wrong, what went right in that last series. And really that whole, from the curse catch on, it's a bunch of amazing small things that have to go just right for a play to work or not work. I mean, the curse catch was a miracle by itself. And for him to have caught that ball would have made that, again, one of the greatest catches of all time had they won the game. And then they'd be talking about how it was Butler well defended that ball and how did he catch it, when he was right there, just, miracle going our way. And so, again, lots of reason to understand why they decided to throw the ball. I just personally would have still run it. I would have, in my order of preferences, I would have given the ball to Lynch. Secondly, I would have had Wilson with keeper, bootleg it, because they were all expecting to go to Lynch. So if they would have, converged on Lynch, Wilson, I probably would have had plenty of room to run around the bootlegger on the end. Or if we were to pass, something safer, a rollout, a fade, something where he's, basically everyone's flowing to the same direction. You can either throw or just run it. Just have that option to do, and he could throw it away if it's not good. Anyway, but it's easy to say that now when you can look back after the fact. But so I just believe the Seahawks did what they felt was the best shot at the time. No conspiracy, no thinking about who's going to get the glory. It was just simply that they felt that was the best play at the time based on the formations they had. And it just didn't turn out well. And we just have to live with that. So that's how I've made peace with that. I do want to say that it was a great game. Arguably could be looked at as one of the best Super Bowls ever. It would have been one of the greatest Super Bowls for us, obviously, had they won the game. And just to have been able to put that Cinderella story to it, the end of the season run, to get to the postseason, our comeback with that curse catch that would have led to the game-winning play would have been remembered as one of the greatest drives of all time. Unfortunately, these will just be footnotes to the Patriots' victory. That's just how it is. So that's kind of my last look at it. I really probably won't talk about it again. That was really my last. I just really wanted to get it full in, dive in, soak it all in, really see it for what it is. But it was a great game, an even better season. And really, when you look back the last 3 seasons, I mean, as a Seahawks fan, how can you complain about anything? We've been very fortunate to watch 3 years in a row of playoff football, 2 years of Super Bowl football. And other than winning that last game, you really can't ask for much more. As a fan, it's been very rewarding to have exciting, close games where we've never been blown out, always been within 10 points of a game. And the best part is that I truly do feel like this is something that's going to continue. There's no reason to believe that this is going to stop here, because we've got a great team, we've got a core defense that's going to be sticking around together. We've got a quarterback who's just getting going. And other things will change, but we're on the right track. So there's no reason to think we won't be back for the Super Bowl in 2015, 2016. It's going to be tough. It was tough last year. It's going to be tough again this year, but I feel pretty good, very good about our chances. So I just want to say, with that, thank you to the Seahawks for giving us such a great team, such great entertainment, and something that we could get behind and be so passionate about. And thank you to you guys, 12s, NorbCam fans, for being a part of my experience, because this has been, it has really truly changed my life following this team and doing these last couple of years. This has been a dream come true for me, to be able to have this platform, to be able to share my experiences with you guys as a fan. So I'm excited to move forward as well for the next season of NorbCam. So very excited, very excited. A lot of great things to come with both the Seahawks and for NorbCam. So got a very exciting offseason ahead. So here's some of the more pressing latest news with the Seahawks. Obviously, the number one question on everyone's mind is, will Beast Mode, will Marshawn Lynch be back? And the short answer to that is yes, he will. This is NorbCam with a breaking news special report. Yesterday on Blue Friday, Marshawn Lynch did sign a contract extension with the Seahawks. It's a 3-year deal that will pay him $12 million in the first year, $9 million in 2016, and then $10 million in 2017 if he plays that long. Bottom line is Marshawn Lynch will be back with the Seahawks for at least one more season, and he will probably be the highest paid running back in the league. Whew. Yes! That was the key piece of the puzzle that we needed for another run at the Super Bowl. So I'm extremely, extremely happy. Quick other news, they put a second-round tender on Jermaine Kearse. Kearse is a restricted free agent, so if another team wants to get him, they would have to give the Seahawks a second-round draft pick in order to take him away from us. But Seattle has the option to match that deal. My gut feeling is that they will bring him back. Kearse has been kind of hot and cold this past season, but the bottom line is he's been clutch when it mattered, and I think it would be worth keeping him. It's a small price tag to pay, you know, and then they just got to figure out what they're going to do about that number 1 receiver need. And we'll talk about that in the free agency next episode. But on a sad note, Seattle did release Zach Miller, tight end, so Zach is gone. The word is that he didn't pass his physical in this. You know, he dealt with a bad ankle injury for most of the season, was really unavailable for most of the season, unfortunately, and we really could have used him. But Seattle does have depth at tight end, and there's a lot of free agent possibilities out there, so we'll see what Seattle does. Anyway, that's it for the breaking news. Back to our regularly scheduled NorbCam program. We all know that the LOB suffered some pretty bad injuries, which also accounts for why Brady had so much success in the later part of that game. Our whole defense started to take some injuries, notably, besides the LOB, also Cliff Averill, absent for the rest of that game, really hurt the team. But the good thing is these guys will be back, with the exception of Byron Maxwell, who is unrestricted free agent. He pretty much is gone, which he should get the money where he can. This is his chance to get paid. Some team will pay him good money because he is one of the best cornerbacks out there, and being on the Seahawks has made him so. Earl Thomas had surgery on his torn labrum. 6 to 8 month recovery. A very good possibility he may be back for the first game, which would be great. Jeremy Lane, compound arm fracture, but he also had to get knee surgery, all sustained from that same play apparently. So dude had a rough Super Bowl. Had great play, and unfortunately a brutal end to the season for him there. That's a hit. That was a hit for that Super Bowl as well. It'll be a hit if we lose any more time without him. The good news is that with Richard Sherman and his injury, he did have torn ligaments from the Green Bay Championship game, but it turns out he won't require Tommy John surgery as initially anticipated he might, so he just needs to rehab and he should be good to go. Same thing with Chancellor. He tore his MCL in practice before the Super Bowl, played through it like a warrior that he is. Looks like he won't require surgery as well, so he and Sherman should be able to make it back on the field okay. Coaching changes, I'm sure you've heard by now. Dan Quinn, our defensive coordinator, is now the new head coach of the Falcons. Ken Norton Jr., our linebackers coach, who I love that guy, he is now the Raiders defensive coordinator. So Chris Richard, our LOB coach, has been promoted to defensive coordinator. Michael Barrow from the University of Miami has been brought in to become the new linebackers coach. And Lofa Tatupu, I'm sure a lot of you remember him, former middle linebacker, he now becomes the assistant linebacker coach. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to bring him back. He's also, I think, a former USC guy with Carroll, so he had history with him even before he was a Seahawk. Hopefully that will help strengthen that linebacking core. There's a lot going on with free agency, which starts on the 10th next week. That's gonna be very exciting. A lot of pieces moving around, a lot of surprises out there, but too much to get into right now, so I'll get into that on the next video. Seahawks are also adding 1,000 more seats in the south end zone there by the flag, so CenturyLink will now be 1,012s louder. Some NorbCam updates here. I'm going to try to stick to a regular schedule, having 2 videos a week, one on Tuesday and then one on Blue Friday. I'm excited because my website, norbcam.com, is under construction right now and ready to fly here in just the next few weeks. So it's very exciting. Been working on that for a while now. Basically, you'll be able to go there and see all the videos. So instead of wondering and having to search where the most recent video is, everything will be right there. I'm starting a merchandise side of things. Probably start with some t-shirts and stuff like that. And I plan to do more Rivals videos. videos and more music videos as well. So pretty excited. So if you guys have other things you want me to talk about or put on these videos, or if you have merchandise ideas, I'm always love reading the comments and seeing what you guys have to say. So let me know what you want to see. I am going to post the full NFC Championship game. Many of you, I'm sure, have all seen the ending, the one that went viral and the one that ESPN did the story on. But there's a lot more to that game that's pretty fun that you should check out. In fact, one of the most annoying Seahawk fans I've ever encountered takes place during that game. For the first time in I don't know how long, I was actually yelled at by a guy telling me to sit down because I was blocking his view during the, are you kidding me? NFC Championship game? I was livid. And it was during the time when we were struggling and losing, and I was very annoyed by this guy. Eventually we all started standing when things got exciting, so it didn't matter anymore after that. But man, for a while there, it was very... And eventually I'll get the Super Bowl video up there as well. And that's a whole journey. I know most of you guys don't want to watch the Super Bowl game or just not that motivated to for obvious reasons, but there's a lot of fun stuff that happened before the game, you know, in the days leading up. That was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to put that together and share that with you guys. Hopefully you'll enjoy some of that, because that stuff was pretty fun. In celebration of last year's season and for NorbCam as well, I created a documentary, a 45-minute documentary based on all the videos I make from last year, including in-game videos, the rivals, and music videos, everything. And basically made it into a documentary called The View from a 12. And I submitted it to the... And basically right now I'm just waiting to see if I get in. It's very competitive, so it's not easy to get into that festival. It runs from May 14th to June 7th, so if I'm lucky enough to be accepted, it'll be sometime during that time, and I'll definitely keep you informed if I get the good news or the bad news. I hope they take it. If not, I'll figure out what to do with it after that. At some point I want to screen it, and you guys will eventually get a chance to watch it. But it's a pretty cool recap of the entire 2014 season. All right, just to wrap up here, I got one more thing to announce, and that's the end of this month on March 29th. I'm working with several dedicated 12s in putting together a fundraiser called the 12s Rally for 12s. And it's going to take place again Sunday, March 29th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it's going to take place here in Seattle at the Ballard Elks. It's a fundraiser that's going to go to help John Bachner, who we did a story about, who got injured in a car accident and was paralyzed as a result. Some of the money will go to him. The other part of the proceeds will go to 12s Feeding the Homeless, which is a group of 12s who do exactly that. They feed the homeless on a regular basis every month. And then the Ballard Elks, who's hosting the event, some of the money proceeds will also go to help fund their charities. So it's a really good cause. Fun for the whole families. $12 is all it takes to get in. And there's going to be special guests, Seahawks alumni, a Seahawks car rally, live music by Mark Collins and his band Latigo Lace. Wilson the Pony will be there. There'll be games, silent auction, merchandise raffle, all kind of cool stuff. And I'll be there doing my NorbCam thing. So, get you on camera, have a chance to meet you guys and all that kind of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys can come out to it. If you want to look up more information, it is on Facebook. And if you just look up 12s Helping 12s, that's our page where you can find the event. Hope you can make it if you're out in this area. If not, you can still donate to the cause. And if you go to the site, you'll see where you can still contribute and try to help these organizations with your donation. All right, I think that's it for this episode. It's nice to get back into it again. It's been too long. Thank you again for staying with me, and I guarantee you it's going to be a fun season ahead. Fun season of NorbCam and a fun season of Seahawks football. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Yeah, let's do this thing. Go Hawks.
Thank you for watching NorbCam. To subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the button at the top. To watch my Super Bowl interview with Paul Beyer from 12 for 12's Radio, click the video on the left. To watch the Miracle to Clink NFC Championship win versus the Packers, click the video in the middle. To watch the Super Bowl heartbreak, my view and reaction to that final drive, click the video on the right. And check out NorbCam.com. Thanks for watching. Go Hawks!